Hello all, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about factoring trinomials when a is greater than 1. This is the second part. If you haven't seen the first part, I'll put a link in the iCard above. So this video is really going to focus on when we have negatives, right? Because our first part only had positives, so now we're going to see what happens when we include negatives into the mix. So the first step is still going to be to identify A, B, and C. So A is 2. B is -9, and C is +4. So we're going to take A and C and multiply them together. So that's 2 times 4, which is a +8, and list the factors. 1 and 8, 2 and 4. So which two are going to help us make -9? Well, since it's a positive product, I can have two sets of factors. They're either going to be all positive or all negative. So in this case, it makes sense that we have -1 and -8 because when I add them together, I'll get -9. And when I multiply them together, I'll get +8. So this means that I'm going to copy our first term. Then I'm going to insert -1x and -8x. And then also copy down our last term, +4. So now I have to do that GCF or reverse distributive property 3 times. So once for the first set, so what's in common here is going to be an x. I'll be left with 2x minus 1. And then for our second set, since I have this negative in front, there's actually a negative in common. And then we also have a 4 in common because 4 times 2 is 8 and 4 times 1 is 4. So what'll be left over is actually a +2x and a -1. If I don't take out the negative, then our parentheses are not going to match. And this makes sense because -4 times 2x is -8x, and -4 times -1 is a +4. All right, and now we're going to figure out what's in common between these two sets. 2x minus 1 is in common, and what's left over is going to be this x minus 4. And now we are factored. All right, so let's take a look at the second example. So here, A is 3, B is actually a -1, and C is -10. So if we multiply A times C, I'm actually going to get -30 as my product. So now I'm going to figure out my factors for 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't work, 5 and 6. We have to figure out which two numbers are going to help us make a -1. Keeping in mind our signs are going to be different. So either all of the factors on the left are negative and these are positive, or all of the factors on the right are negative and these are positive. So the ones that are going to help us make -1 is 5 and 6. So I can either have -5 and a +6, or a +5 and a -6. So the one that's going to help us make -1 is actually 5 and -6. So we'll write out our first and the last. And now we're going to write out our two middle terms. I'd like to keep the negative in front because that's going to prevent this from happening where I have to remember to pull out the negative. Even though it doesn't really look like I should, you do. So if I put the negative in front, I don't have to worry about that scenario. So it doesn't matter which order you put these two numbers in. So I'm just going to put the -6x in front and then put the +5x at the back. So if that's the case, here we go again. The reverse distributive property is going to be 3x because I have a 3 in common as well as an x. And I'll be left with x minus 2. For the second one, what's in common is a 5. And I'll be left with x minus 2 again. Good thing, because that's exactly what I want. So pull out the parentheses that's in common, rewrite another parentheses of what's left over. So I have 3x plus 5, and we're done. Okay, if you want to try the last example on your own, go ahead. All right, so once again, I have A equals 4, B equals -4, and C equals -3. So A times C is going to be 4 times -3, which is -12. Again, I know that I'm going to have different signs. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. The two that are going to help me make -4 are 2 and 6. Again, I could have -2 and +6 or +2 and -6 since our product is a negative. So the one that will work would be a positive 2 and negative 6. Once again, I'm going to put this negative 6 first. So I have 4x squared, copying the first term, put in this negative 6x, then a positive 2x, and a negative 3. So the first two will have a 2x in common because 4 and 6 have a common factor of 2. And then what's going to be left over in the parentheses is 2x minus 3. And you'll notice here 2x and 3 don't have anything in common at all except a 1. So whenever that happens, make sure you put this plus 1 in front. And now we're going to look at the whole thing. So 2x minus 3 is in common, and this 2x plus 1 is what's left over. And now we are factored. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.